أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا أبي القاسم محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. I send my condolences first and foremost to Sahib al-Asri wal-Zaman alayhi salamullah, to the ulama, to the maraja, to the believing brothers and sisters around the world, and to humanity as a whole for the loss of Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, the voice of human justice, the perfect example for, and insha'Allah ta'ala, me and you will be sitting in front of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam in his last moments today, listening to his final will, what he had to say before he died. Before you die, my brothers and sisters, and before I die, what would we say? What would we tell our family members? What would we tell our followers, those who actually take heed to what we say and follow our every command? Let's try and listen to the words of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam in this tone. Try to understand that these are the last words of a genius, and so genius at the very least, more than a genius. And so the words that are coming out of his mouth are words that he wants to ring with us and resonate with us and stay with us our entire lives and act on. We'll listen to these words. We'll see what Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam has to say. We'll try our best to explain them, although they're very clear, but take heed to them, my brothers and sisters. Insha'Allah ta'ala, we will begin with a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم صلى الله عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا رسول الله صلى الله عليك يا حبيب الله صلى الله عليك يا مولاي وابن مولاي يا أبا عبد الله الحسين يا ابن أمير المؤمنين. Peace and blessings be upon you, Ya Rasulallah. Peace and blessings be upon you, O beloved of Allah. Peace and blessings be upon you, Ya Aba Abdullah al-Husayn, son of Amir al-Mu'mineen. صلى الله عليك يا مولاي وابن مولاي يا أمير المؤمنين. Peace and blessings be upon you, O my master and the son of my master, Amir al-Mu'mineen, the Prince of Believers, Ali ibn Abi Talib. Assalamu alayka ya Hujjat Allah. Assalamu alayka ya Dalil, ayyuha ad-Dalil ila Allah. Peace be upon you. Peace be upon you, O proof of Allah. Peace be upon you, O guide to Allah. السلام على شيبك الخضيب السلام على رأسك المجروح السلام على دمك السائل السلام عليك ورحمة الله وبركاته. Peace and blessings be upon the beard dyed with blood. Peace and blessings be upon the wound on the head. Peace and blessings be upon the blood that was flowing from that wound. Peace and blessings be upon you, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen. It's narrated by Abi Tufail where he says, I was with Ali ibn Abi Talib before his death, sometime before his death. All of a sudden, Abdul Rahman ibn Muljim walked in on Amir al-Mu'mineen. It said Abdul Rahman ibn Muljim was with Amir al-Mu'mineen, then turned on him. He walked into Amir al-Mu'mineen and asked him for some money. Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam said to Abi Tufail, ما يحبس أشقاها أن يخضبها من علاها يخضب هذه من هذه وأومأ إلى لحيته. He said, what's stopping this man from dying what's on top, from dying what's on the bottom with what's on top, with what's on top? He pointed to his head and pointed then to his beard, saying, what's stopping Abdul Rahman ibn Muljim from dyeing my beard with the blood of my head? And then Amir al-Mu'mineen said his famous lines. He said, اشدد حيازمك للموت فإن الموت آتيك ولا تجزع من القاتل إذا حل بواديك. Don't fear death. Make yourself ready for death. Tighten your belts for death is surely coming to you. And don't be afraid of death. If it comes into your courtyard, every human being will taste death, my brothers and sisters. And Ali ibn Abi Talib knew his death was near. That's why when Amir al-Mu'mineen walked into Masjid al-Kufa on that day, he walked towards Abdul Rahman ibn Muljim, looked at him sleeping on his stomach. He said to him, Allah hates such a sleep, for it's the sleep of the shaitan. And I know what you're hiding. I know what you have under your stomach. You're going to commit an act that will shake the world, that will shake the skies. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. For the love of Amir al-Mu'mineen, قائد الغر المحجلين إلى جنات النعيم. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Before we begin, just for the sake of the fast, I'd just like to say that when we narrate these ahadith, especially the majalis of Ahl al-Bayt alayhim salam, we narrate them obviously with what we call tasarruf. We narrate them with the meaning, just so we can keep our fast more or less afloat, and the pinpoint accuracy is more or less forgiven, because as you know, if you narrate something from Allah, from Rasulullah, Sayyidah Zahra alayha salamullah, and any one of the Imams, and it turns out to be not narrated from the Imam, then it could be in some circumstances considered to be lying against them, which ultimately breaks the fast. Now, if you didn't know, that's a little bit different, but out of ihtiyat, precautions, out of precautionary measures, my brothers and sisters, I just want to make that disclaimer. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Tonight, my brothers and sisters, we will be with Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam for the last time. And when a human being is with their beloved for the last time, and when the human being is with their beloved for the last time, my brothers and sisters, they tend to give them their last will. They tend to give them the very last set of pieces of advice, Sallallahu ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. I can't remember. Sallallahu ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. We said, my brothers and sisters, I apologize. We said, my brothers and sisters, when the beloved is with their beloved in the last moments before death, when the beloved is with their beloved in the last moments before death, the words between them are very, very different than if they were with any other person, and very, very different than if these were not the last moments. The person dying is more or less giving the last piece of advice. The person dying is speaking of the most important things to him or her, more or less going over the goal of their life and trying to pass on that endeavor for those that will live on after them. And so you found throughout history, human beings that were dying showed their true colors at death, told the people of what they considered to be important. If they were musicians, they spoke of their work and told those that were there to keep their work going and allow it to live on. If they were artists, they did the same. If they were leaders, their wills, their last statements pertain to the goal that they were trying to achieve as the leader, their political goal. The author, the normal worker, the family man, the father, whoever it may be, their last words, my brothers and sisters, paint you a clearer picture of who they are. Paint you a clearer picture of who they are. And so, my brothers and sisters, the same way we analyze Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam throughout their lives, and we see the choices they made in specific situations and try to emulate them, and by seeing the decisions they made and how they reacted, we understand how they are and try to understand how they are, rather, because you can't fully understand the ma'soom, and try to mirror that. Also, my brothers and sisters, at their death, their final words and their wills not just help us practically, rather they paint you a picture of who this person was, more sometimes than how they reacted when they were alive. Because Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, in an instance where, for example, he's dealing with a certain person, and we get the narration. Well, we get that narration in that specific time. What happened before and what happened after, we don't necessarily know. So Amir al-Mu'mineen might have reacted to this person, said something to this person, chose to say something to this person in that moment. Maybe keeping some more words, or keeping what they say the target message for later on a one-on-one conversation with that person, for example. And that one-on-one conversation may not have been narrated in the books. Not to say the ahadith that we have are not clear in their context. No. But if we want to paint a full picture, of how Amir al-Mu'mineen spoke, of how Amir al-Mu'mineen used to think, of what Amir al-Mu'mineen used to think about the most, then go to the final moments, because after that moment, there's no more communication with Amir al-Mu'mineen and his people. And so all there is on his chest, he will come forward and say and present it to you. So if you want to know the Ma'soom, the clearest, in the clearest of ways, in the most apparent of ways, with no other variables, more or less covering aspects of their personality for certain wisdoms that they themselves, alayhimussalam, saw, go to their final moments. And that's why the will of Amir al-Mu'mineen to Imam al-Hassan, to Imam al-Hussein, to his family, his children, is one of the most important pieces of text. Most important pieces of texts, religious and non-religious texts, that a human being can pick up. For Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam was a role model, not only for the Shia, but for the Muslimin. And not only for the Muslimin, for religious people. Not only for religious people, for humanity as a whole. And not only for humanity as a whole, as a being in this envelope of existence. As a being in this envelope of existence. We're going to pick a few lines. Read them, my brothers and sisters, and I'm no one to explain the words of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. The words of Ali alayhi salam are clear. We'll read them together. We'll read them together. Benefit from them together. But afterwards, I want you guys all to do something, my brothers and sisters. For the love of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. For the love of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, do this. After the majlis, when you're sitting alone, after you pray, in tomorrow's Laylatul Qadr, as it's mustahab to gain knowledge in Laylatul Qadr, pick up your tablets, pick up your phones, pick up your laptops, and go online and type the will of Imam Ali to Imam al-Hassan. It's translated. Read it all, from the beginning to the end. Read it, my brothers and sisters. And don't just read it as any text that we read sometimes, religious texts that we read, and we say we're reading it for the barakah, we're reading it for the blessings. Yes, read it for the blessings, but let's read it, my brothers and sisters, with a different tone, through a different lens, through a practical lens. How can I implement the words of Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam in my life, even a sentence? Even a sentence. So we will begin with this excerpt of the wasiyah, of the will, with the loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Jamil. Jamil. Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam is speaking to his family members, to Imam al-Hassan, to Imam al-Hussein, until he says, أوصيكم بتقوى الله ونظم أمركم وصلاح ذات بينكم. I entrust you and command you to have taqwa. And we discussed taqwa yesterday, my brothers and sisters. Yes, we didn't delve into it as we should have. I think that is probably a 4 or 5 part lecture series in itself. But we discussed certain aspects and linked it back to Hadith Unwan al-Basri, where we said the person who has taqwa, my brothers and sisters, is a person that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enlightened, is a person that connected his soul, his heart, with his intellect, and ultimately with his actions or her actions. And we said that a person that connects their intellect with their soul has ultimately gained knowledge, or is on the path of gaining knowledge. And the person who wants to gain knowledge and have that light of Allah must first find the meaning of servitude to Allah. And the meaning of servitude to Allah outlined by Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. He comes forward and he says that a person must understand 3 things and apply 3 things. And we mentioned what they are. Not to plan for yourself. Not to plan for yourself. Rather, plan for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not to feel that you own anything. Not to feel that you own anything. And that anything is yours. So then it's easy to give it away. And if it's taken away, you don't change. Similarly, in a state of tragedy, That person that has taqwa is no different than a person who is in a state of peace and tranquility. And other qualities that were mentioned by Imam al-Sadiq in Hadith Unwan al-Basri and Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. He tells his family members, abide by the rules of taqwa, the guidelines of taqwa that I've laid out for you. Usikum bitaqwa Allah, fear Allah, be aware of His presence. Wa nazmi amrikum, the perfect human being. The perfect human being. Taqwa Allah, having the fear of Allah, awareness of God, will more or less organize the life of the individual, him or herself, in terms of what they should do and what they should not do. Putting aside what they should not do, because that's excluded and sort of erased by taqwallah, the sins. Well, they're not going to do it. Put that aside. Like what they should do. When should they do it? How should they do it? Obviously, a person that has taqwa is wise. Obviously, a person that has taqwa, we said, mantiquhum as-sawab, they think clearly. But organization, organizing your time, organizing your space, organizing your thoughts, organizing yourself, my brothers and sisters, is a huge part of being the complete human being. And I'm no one to talk about this. I'm all over the place, everywhere. But I more or less give you the words of Amir al-Mu'mineen that I want to, me, myself, I want to implement myself. And each and every one of us can grow in this aspect. If we've organized the logistical aspect of our lives in terms of when we arrive, when we leave the house, that we're on time to work, that we're on time to school, for example. Well, there's other aspects of our life that we need to also organize. On our weekends, when we have free time, how are we utilizing that time? Am I using it just to rest, and that rest is merely sports and video games? Am I using sports as a means to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to exercise? Am I using my leisure time in the right way? And if I'm using my leisure time in what is halal, is it enough? Is it too much? Is it too short? For example, my space, the space that I occupy, is it organized within itself? This is something that I need to work on. This is something that many people need to work on, especially those that have 6 different things going on at the same time. This is on an individual level, my brothers and sisters. And the riwayat are clear. That organizing yourself, rather organizing your time and splitting up your day into fragments, is extremely important. Extremely important. And not just this. Making your day revolve around your religious obligations first and foremost. To split up your day into the segments that we find in the riwayat of, the 4 quadrants and the 4 spaces. And that's more or less mustahab. That's the mustahab of the mustahab in a sense. Recommended of the recommended. But just, on a very, very superficial, easy level, are we organizing our day in accordance to the 5 salawat that we have? Or do we squeeze in the salat when we can squeeze it in? When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes and tells me there's 3 times of salat during the day, Fajr, Dhuhr and Maghrib, although there's 5 salat, there's 3 times for them. God is more or less telling me, listen, I want you to be with me in the beginning of your day, in the middle of your day, and at the end of your day. I want your day to revolve around me in its time. Forget what the day comprises of in terms of the work. Forget that. In your time and how you schedule yourself, I want it to revolve around me. The middle and the end. If we come forward and revolve the actions, what we do, our schedule around these 3 times, then in between these 3 times, the 2 times in between them, the spaces between them, we are going to be more aware of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because I know, I scheduled my workout, for example, to finish at 9 so that I can be on the prayer mat, mathalan, by 9:10 after I shower, etc., etc., etc. So at 8 o'clock, if my friend calls me and says, hey, listen, I'm going out to a party, for example. I'm going out to meet up with XX individuals that are known to do haram things, for example, and are known to be wrong influences on me and who I am. I know that at 9 o'clock I have to meet God because I scheduled my day like this. So there's less incentive for me to go because A, I'm not going to have time, and B, I know who I'm going to be meeting at 9 o'clock. As opposed to a person who squeezes in their salat after they finish everything at 12, for example, midnight, this person has more incentive to go out at 8 o'clock. Yes? Putting your time and organizing your time, my brothers and sisters, is very important. If you can take anything from these lectures that we've been doing for the last 20 days almost, less or more, take this. Take this. Nothing else. If you don't want anything else from a practical level, fine. Take this. Organize your time, my brothers and sisters, in accordance to your salah. Jameel. That's on an individual level. I'm honest on a broader scale. On a broader scale, as a community, Allah fi nadmi amrikum. Imam Ali alayhi salam, he says, fear God, put God with you, have God in front of you, pertaining to and when discussing and when looking at organizing yourselves. Not just this, Amir al-Mu'mineen himself says, what's narrated about Amir al-Mu'mineen, he says, الوقت كالسيف إن لم تقطعه يقطعك or قطعك. Time is like a sword. If you don't cut it, it will cut you. What am I trying to say? One of the biggest problems that we find, especially speakers, us speakers, we see this a lot. One of the biggest problems we find is the majlis says it starts at 7. 7. That's when the majlis is supposed to start, 7 p.m., for example. Starts at 7:15 and 7:30. And everyone comes at 7:30 because they know the organizers are not going to start until 7:30. And not just this, Quran starts at 7:30. And by the way, we prolong Quran 30 minutes, half an hour, 15 minutes for more people to come in. Not because we want to read the Quran. And some of you guys are smiling and laughing because we know that this happens in our majalis. It says 7 o'clock. We start 7:30, and the person reading Quran is told to take long in Quran. Why? So people can come in. So people can arrive. Is the Quran a buffer zone for us? Is Quran just a means to kill time so people can come and take their seats and listen to the khatib? Isn't the Quran the most important part? Why is it being used as a buffer zone in our majalis? Put that aside. Why is the majlis starting at 7? And why have we trained the people? We trained our people to come late. Because when they came on time, they waited for half an hour. Brothers and sisters, the simplest of things is what differentiates between a person following the footsteps of Ali bin Abi Talib and a person not following the footsteps of Ali bin Abi Talib. And the simplest of things differentiates between a person that Sahib al-Amri wa Zaman wants in his government and a person that he doesn't want in his government. You can pray and fast and do all of these things, and a lot of people pray and fast and do Salatul Layl, fine. What's the difference between this one and that one? This one comes on time, and he tells you 7 o'clock, he's there at 6:55. That's the difference between him and him, or her and her. This person comes at 7:15. He tells you 7, but he comes 7:15. This one comes at 6:55, 6:50. That's the difference. This one prays and is truthful. This one prays and ultimately is a liar. It's very simple. It's not hard. It's a very simple concept, my brothers and sisters. Sure, one off, fine. But when one off becomes a pattern, it's not one off anymore. It's not one off anymore. This is a very important point. طيب, keep going. وَصَلَاحْ ذَاتِ بَيْنِكُمْ. We spoke about the perfect human in terms of what they do and how they act. This is taqwa. In terms of the perfect human and how they organize their lives, how they take the good that taqwa provides them and organizes it throughout the day on an individual level. Also taking this idea of organization and seeing it on a communal level, the community itself. Jameel. What about when we conflict between each other? Which is bound to happen. Things are not always dandy. وَصَلَاحْ ذَاتِ بَيْنِكُمْ. I command you, O my people, my Shia, don't let these petty things rip your communities apart. Come together. Two people are conflicting. Let one of them come as a judge between you two and allow both of them to accept this person as a judge. Whatever this person decrees, let both parties accept and move forward. Put your egos aside, my brothers and sisters. And this is me talking, and I'm no one. I'm merely taking the words of Ali and presenting them. Let us put our egos aside. Do you know how many communities were split because of Hajj and Hajj? Religious man here, religious man there, had egos that were through the roof. And I say this openly. I'm very sorry if this offends. This is reality. This is the reality. And this is Ali alayhi salam speaking, not me. Do you know how many communities were ripped into shreds because of the egos of those people that had the most influence and most power? They may not have been the most religious, but they have the most power, the most influence. And the egos that they had, that they would not accept someone to come between them. It's my way or the highway. Well, alhamdulillah, the Shias have many highways now. The Shia have many highways. In one city, there could be 50 plus highways. Well, alhamdulillah. Having more Husayniyat, more majalis is great. But not when they're conflicting and fighting with each other. Not when one is saying Qala Ali ibn Abi Talib and then the other one is saying Qala Sadiq. And indirectly they're trying to outpoint each other. Indirectly they're trying to call each other out on the manabir, and you see this. And you see this. Oh my God, how much you see this. This one uses the quote of Amir al-Mu'mineen to call out somebody else from another community. This one uses the quote of Amir al-Mu'mineen to call out somebody else in the community, until it gets to a point where they're calling each other Yazid ibn Muawiyah. And I've seen this. I've heard this. He is Yazid. He is Yazid. He calls him, you are Yazid ibn Muawiyah. So you're swearing to him religiously. It's a religious swear word. Like, brothers and sisters, Salah Dhat al-Bayn, bringing peace between two sides. It's not one-sided. Rather, it's three-sided in a sense. One side is the opposition, or one side is more or less the plaintiff. The other side is the defense. The two conflicting sides themselves, the two parties. And then the third side is the person coming between. All three of them need to work together. All three of them need to work together. And those on the side, we as people on the side, not inside the conflict, we sometimes are the driving force for this conflict, although we don't stand with one or the other. Why? Because we don't try to come between them. We say, no, allow them. They are the elders of the whatever, the institution. No, that's not how it works. Ali alayhi salam says, come between them, bring them together. Why, ya Ali? فَإِنِّي سَمِعْتُ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ يَقُولُ. I heard Rasulullah on his deathbed. He's reminding me and you. صلاح ذات البين أفضل من عامة الصلاة والصيام. Bringing two conflicting sides together is better than all of the prayer and the fast that a person does. Because the point of these different types of worship to Allah is to ultimately create a community that is not conflicting, a community that is all one hand, one message, one goal. That's what this worship is about. If I'm worshiping and you're worshiping, we are all following the same message. Why are we conflicting? And we conflict, it's normal. We may change, have a difference of opinion on how we want things to move forward. But that difference of opinion should not take us away from the message. The message that we are praying for and fasting for. If we're conflicting over that message, then what's the point of fasting and prayer? What does it mean anymore? وَإِنَّ الْبُغْضَ حَالِقَ الدِّينِ حَالِقَةُ الدِّينِ. ولا قوة إلا بالله. انظروا ذوي أرحامكم فصلوهم or فصلوهم يهون الله عليكم الحساب. Then he moves on to the last point that we're going to be with Amir al-Mu'mineen today, and more or less the last point to bring a community together. We spoke about a person between themselves in terms of what they should or should not do. Then we spoke about how a person should organize themselves and how a community should organize itself. And also we spoke about what should be done when community goes into conflict. طيب. Lastly, a community is not a community if there isn't a sense of family. And the way that a person has a sense of family with their community member who is not their family member is if they have the correct ties with their actual family members. So he says, صِلُوا أَرْحَامَكُمْ ذَوِي الْأَرْحَامِ فَصِلُوهُمْ. Go back to your family members, your cousins, your uncle, your aunt, your mother, your father, your daughter, your mother, whoever it may be. You have a conflict with them, sit them down. Who cares what it's about? Who cares what's it about? She swore to you, she took your money, she destroyed your house in Lebanon, she built a wall on the wrong side of the piece of land and you got into a conflict and this and that. What does it matter? What does it matter? Sit down, talk, discuss it, come to an agreement. Go back to your family members. If you don't see eye to eye with them, fine. No one's telling you to have Thanksgiving dinner with them. No one's telling us to sit down and see them every single week. No one's saying sit down with them and see them every month. If you can, fine. But if you can't, you just can't get along. No problem. Call them. Call them. You know how many conflicts in the community, within the community, that widespread, that go out and spread throughout the community. You know how many conflicts could have been avoided if just the two brothers sat down and, hey, what's up? How are you? That's it. You know how many conflicts could have stopped and could have been avoided between communities? These conflicts that ripped apart communities, ripped apart entire communities, would have ended with a simple phone call. Hey, put the past aside. How are you, man? How's everything? Eid Mubarak. Literally, Eid Mubarak. How's everything? I hope the kids are fine. I don't want more than that. Like our conflict, put it aside. Put it aside for now. I hope everything's well. That's it. That phone call would have saved an entire community. And I'm telling you, when I say this, I'm not exaggerating. The things you hear, the lawsuits, I swear to God, the lawsuits, I swear by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the lawsuits, the conflicts, the fraud, the sabotage, the betrayal. And when I say these things, my brothers and sisters, I'm being honest. Could be avoided by just these simple things that our children are being taught at a young age, but are not seeing their parents do them. This is not meant to be me firing off that I'm frustrated because of Amir al-Mu'mineen's death and I'm not feeling well and I'm just firing off. No, there's a message. There's a message. On Eid, call your sister. Call your brother. You don't get along, fine, don't get along. No one's telling you to get along. No one's telling you to open business. Call them. Say salam. That's it. And you'll see how this will do wonders for you. In this world and in the next. For Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam tells us what it will do for us. يُهَوِّنُ اللَّهُ عَلَيْكُمُ الْحِسَابِ. What will happen? God will make your judgment in front of him easy. Easy. I am muqassir with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I have not done enough with God. Just the same way that I see that my brother has oppressed me and didn't do enough for me, for example. He took my rights. Well, I took the rights of God. I've sinned. I've taken money when I wasn't supposed to. I looked at something when I wasn't supposed to look at it. I said something when I wasn't supposed to say it. Let's be honest. I slept through Salat al-Fajr. Let's be very brutally honest. I took the right of God. I'm abused what God has given me, just the same way that I'm claiming that my brother abused me. Like, if I'm not willing to go and come to terms with my brother, then very simply, God will not come to terms with me. It's a simple equation. Sometimes we think our religion has to be this deep concepts and spirituality and aestheticism or whatever. No. It's very simple. Here you go. The equation is simple. That's why the Quran, it can be read by a 50-year-old or by a 3-year-old. Simple ideas. Sallallahu alaihi Muhammad. Now, these are the words of Amir al-Mu'mineen, and if we want to go through this wasiyah, again, maybe a 10 lecture series, just to go through each and every point, my brothers and sisters, implement the points that Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam was trying to give us. Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam said these words and many, many words like it, many pieces of advice like it on his deathbed, with blood flowing down from his head and the strike reaching the brain of Amir al-Mu'mineen. And subhanAllah, Amir al-Mu'mineen was able to produce this with the very information system, the processor of the human body, compromised in what we consider to be compromised. Although Ali alayhi salam is never compromised. But what we consider to be the processor of the human being, we found it compromised with the wound. And Ali alayhi salam was able to produce this. Ya Ali, if you were left to speak, what would you have done? He said these words, my brothers and sisters. And it said, Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam says, in the meaning of what he says, the mu'min, if he's going towards God, if he's going to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, his forehead sweats. His forehead sweats, and you can see the sweat on his forehead. He's getting ready to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is a sign that his time is near. Just before the death of Amir al-Mu'mineen, Amir al-Mu'mineen spent days with his family and days with his companions and people that were allowed to come in and see him. He gave them their will, advised them to Allah and to abide by the rules of Allah. The riwayah says, in this time, the poison was spreading through the body of Amir al-Mu'mineen. As Amir al-Mu'mineen was handing out the cure to many ailments, the poison of Amir al-Mu'mineen's blow was spreading through his body. Assalamu alayka ya Amir al-Mu'mineen. Peace and blessings on the one who had the heart of gold. Peace and blessings be upon the one who cared when his body was deteriorating. Peace and blessings be on the one who even in his final moments was looking towards others and not to himself. Na'am, the narration says, Amir al-Mu'mineen's body, some of his body was changing into green and blue in different colors. The poison was spreading through the body of Ali ibn Abi Talib, and the wound was still open but wrapped. The riwayah says, Amir al-Mu'mineen's face was pale, just as pale as the white cloth on his head. Ya Ali, Ya Ali. It said he spoke to Imam al-Hassan, gave him his will, gave Imam al-Hassan his sword and his books, and told Imam al-Hassan to give them to Imam al-Hussein at his death. Then Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam looked at his family members. He looked at his children. He said to them, أستودعكم الله جميعا سددكم الله جميعا. I leave you with Allah, all of you. We are your children, Ya Ali. Yeah, we're listening to you, Ya Ali, all of us. I leave you to Allah, all of you. Saddadakumullah jami'an. May Allah protect all of you. وحفظكم jami'an. May Allah protect all of you. Allah Khalifati alaykum wa kafa billah khalifa. God is the one I entrust you with, and He is the best one to entrust with. The riwayah says he kept on saying Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, until the forehead of Amir al-Mu'mineen began to sweat. Amir al-Mu'mineen then faced Qibla. Ajarakumullah. He said, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله رفقا بي يا ملائكة ربي. O angels of Allah, be easy on me. ثم عرق عرق جبينه وسكن أنينه وغمض عينيه وأسبل يديه. His forehead began to sweat. His hands went limp. He shut his eyes. He put his feet out. And Amir al-Mu'mineen left this world. رحم الله من نادى وعلي يا سي علي. Scream for Ali. رحم الله من نادى والمظلومة وعلي يا وسيدا. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. سيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون. العاقبة للمتقين. Ya Allah, we ask you, Ya Allah, by the right of Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad, accept this majlis from us. Accept this majlis from us, Ya Allah. Accept our amal, Ya Allah. Accept our fasting, Ya Allah. Accept our salat, Ya Allah. Forgive us for our sins, Ya Allah. Give us what we desire in this month. Give us our worldly desires and the desires of the hereafter, Ya Allah. We ask you by the right of Amir al-Mu'mineen to hasten the appearance of Sahib al-Asri wa Zaman, to make us from those who support Sahib al-Amri wa Zaman, to make us from those who obey the Imam of our time, to make us from those who build a community that Sahib al-Amri wa Zaman loves to see, Ya Arham al-Rahimeen. We will recite Surah al-Mubarakat al-Fatiha for the mu'mineen, the mu'minat, the shuhada, the ulama, our maraja, our scholars, before it allowed salawat ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.